My family excluded me from the family Christmas dinner, then tried to blame me for it, and if you've ever felt the slow sting of realizing your name got left off a list you grew up helping write, you know the exact temperature the room dropped to when I saw the calendar invite. I'm Lena, Alina on my birth certificate, don't make a fuss in my family memoirs, and I can tell you the precise sound a phone makes when it turns into a judge, a polite little chime, not loud, not cruel, just certain. The subject line was Christmas dinner, 6 p.m., and the guest list was everyone with our last name and 2 people who married into our noise, just not me. Not me. Who knows where the dent is in the roasting pan because I put it there in 2011 while rescuing Aunt Jo's famous potatoes from a grease fire and then laughed until my ribs hurt because the smoke alarm sang with us. I stared so long I could see my face reflected in the glass, my jaw heavier than usual, the little lines that started to show up this year like faint pencil marks on a floor where a child is measuring time. I should tell you, I don't do dramatics. I do lists. I do what needs to be done with sleeves rolled to my elbow and a timer set for 30 minutes because tasks are easier when you dare them to race you. But that morning I sat on the edge of my bathtub and timed my breathing because if I didn't, I would try to time my worth. I texted my sister first. That's the safest door when family goes weird, through a sibling who knows how you take your tea without asking. Is there a mistake on the invite? I wrote. I didn't get one. 3 dots. They disappeared. Came back. Disappeared. Then, Mom said you were iffy and probably had your own thing. My own thing. I answered. Like what? My long-standing tradition of boiling pasta and crying into it. Don't be dramatic, she wrote, which in our house is how you say, I'm scared, tell me what to do. I called Mom. She answered on the second ring in that bright voice she uses when she's either in a good mood or preparing to avoid accountability. Baby. How's my little apartment? Warm? You know these old buildings are drafty. You left me off the Christmas invite, I said. I cannot recommend starting there enough. We women are trained to approach our injuries like waiters carrying water across a dance floor. Sometimes you have to walk straight. She laughed the laugh that sounds like wind chimes if you're not the person they're clinking against. No, of course not. You were. I thought you were going to your friend dinner. You always talk about your friend dinner. My friend dinner is on Christmas Eve, I said. It has been for 5 years. Well, we thought you might be busy, she said, not listening the way some people learn to drive without checking mirrors. And your brother said you get sensitive when crowds run late. This is the part where I want to pause the story and pass out little laminated cards that read, blame shifting comes in the outfit of consideration. They say we didn't want to pressure you when they mean we didn't want to ask and hear what you wanted. I'm coming, I said, because I am done auditioning for my own seat. What can I bring? Silence. It wasn't long, but it was full. We're set, she said finally. Sabrina's handling appetizers. Nate's bringing bread. I've got the ham and the green beans and that salad your aunt likes. The citrus olive one? I asked because the detail is a reflex, a way to prove I live here too. Yes, she said quickly, relieved we were back in the aisle of harmless nouns. That. And dessert is covered. So maybe you bring wine? Or ice? Sure, I said. My voice did that thing where it sounded like a person in a movie who just agreed to hold the murderer's drink while he went to kill someone. When I hung up, I looked at my fridge because it is where I put sentences I mean to keep. The top right corner has a magnet shaped like a lemon that says, "Squeeze me later." Under it, a scrap of paper from my therapist with 2 words on it, choose. Differently. The syntax matters. Not choose different like an instruction you wear. Choose. Differently. 2 actions, 1 invitation. I put on boots and a coat and walked 3 blocks in air that made my teeth feel clean and bought 2 bottles of wine I couldn't afford and the ingredients for my grandmother's rosemary orange cake because even if dessert was covered, I was covered too. My friend dinner on Christmas Eve is the exact opposite of how my family hosts. No place cards, no speeches designed to be posted, no performative napkins. It's stew and a playlist that starts with 90s R&B and gets distracted by disco. It's my friend Myra who laughs like she owns her lungs, bringing tamales so tender I want to write a letter to whoever invented patience. It's Jamal arriving with a plant that looks like a green hand. It's a white elephant exchange where the best gift that has ever existed, the crocheted hat that looks like a roast chicken, returned for its third year and now lives at my place until summer because I am the only one who will wear it on purpose. Halfway through, my phone buzzed with a photo from the family group chat. A long table I would know even if I were blindfolded, the runner I helped Mom pick at Target when we were pretending we liked each other, the centerpiece Sabrina made of pine cones and spray-painted walnuts, the chairs that wobble unless you twist a napkin under the third leg. The caption said, "Tomorrow, 6 p.m. There were 10 hearts. A thumbs up. A "can't wait" from my brother's wife. No one said, "Where's Lena?" because no one asks where a spoon is until they need to stir. "Put your phone down," Myra said gently, handing me a mug that smelled like forgiving people slowly. "We are here now." "I know," I said, and meant it. I also knew I would need to carry this softness like a spare battery in my pocket. Christmas Day morning, I woke up to snow and a text from my father. He doesn't text much. His messages usually look like a receipt, arrived 2:10. This one said, "See you tonight. You saved me a corner of your cake." I almost cried into my coffee. My parents divorced when I was 19. It was not dramatic. It was quiet and bled into everything. Dad remarried a woman who arranges things by color and belief. She is kind in a way that doesn't demand thanks. I texted back, "Yes. Are you okay?" He wrote, "Always when there's cake." At 4:30, Mom called. "Quick thing," she said, and I could hear the clatter of pots. That means she is feeling righteous. We ran out of chairs. "That's not a thing," I said. "You have 12. I counted last year when Uncle Ol broke the beige one." "Yes, well, the Smiths are coming," she said. The Smiths are our neighbors whose son once taught me to skateboard and then told everyone I cried when I fell, both facts true. "So if you don't mind, we'll set you up at the kitchen counter. More space. Less noise." The kitchen counter is where children sit at 3 p.m. on Thanksgiving to eat finger foods, so the adults can have a real conversation. It's where my mother once cut my pizza into squares when I was 16 because she said I looked tired. It is where I kissed a boy from youth group when no one was looking and then cried because guilt is a kind of gravity if you're raised right. I took a breath and felt my ribs get brave. "No," I said evenly. "I'll sit at the table." A pause. "Don't be difficult," she said, and if you have a mother like mine, you felt the way the word difficult gets laced with the implication that you are choosing cruelty. "I'm not," I said. "I'm choosing to be there properly or not at all." "You're going to ruin Christmas," she said, and I laughed because this line is a tradition in itself. "Christmas can survive me sitting on a chair," I said. "I'll see you at 6. When I arrived at 5:58 with wine and a cake that smelled like rosemary and apology, the house was everything I remember from being 6, 12, 25. Heat that made your face shiny. Holly sprigs that make the cat look like a burglar. My brother's voice too loud even when he's being sweet. People shouting the names of dishes as if the words are seasoning. I took off my coat and walked straight to the table because you shouldn't give a room time to rehearse its resistance. There was a place with my name on it in my mother's cursive, at the main table next to Aunt Jo. Someone had moved the place card from the counter. I looked at Dad. He shrugged and smiled. His wife winked. Later I would learn she had brought 2 camping chairs in the trunk just in case, which is love in my language. I want to tell you we ate and it was fine. Some of it was. The ham was both too salty and exactly what you want from a ham, like someone you love laughing at the wrong part of a joke. The potatoes were perfect because Aunt Jo can do 2 things: make carbohydrates into holiness and tell stories that make you glad you don't know the people in them. The green beans squeaked. There were toasts. "To family," my brother said, and I clinked a glass and kept my mouth from saying the true thing, to the ones who show up and the ones who move chairs. Then it happened, as inevitable as the moment a movie you've seen before hits the part with the line you could recite. Mom stood to make a speech. She doesn't write them down because she likes to pretend she's a woman who speaks from the heart spontaneously, when really she's rehearsed in the shower. We are so blessed, she began, to be surrounded by love. Heads nodded. This year has been about healing and learning to communicate, and even when misunderstandings happen, we know it's because we all care. She looked at me then, that love you if you'd be easier look, and said, we missed Lena at last year's Christmas. But she knows she can always come if she just tells us what she needs. We can't read minds, sweetheart. I laughed. That was a mistake. It wasn't loud. It was a leak. But the room heard it. And once you acknowledge the part of yourself that would like to set a napkin on fire to feel less small, you either do or you speak. I spoke. I wasn't invited, I said, level, like a person reporting the weather. This year I had to ask. Then I was told to bring ice. And today at 4:30 I got demoted to the counter until someone intervened. I didn't look at Dad's wife. I wanted her to have plausible deniability later. My mother blinked, smile tugging at its stitches. We did invite you, she said, and the room shifted because we were stepping into the lava of our family pastime, gaslight as sport. You must have missed the email. I didn't, I said. I have the email chain. I'm not trying to ruin dinner. I'm trying to stop pretending I wasn't left out so that the story is easier to digest. Aunt Jo whispered, ooh, the way people do at fireworks. My brother said, can we not do this? And his wife touched his arm like you do when you tell a dog to heel in a kind way. Sabrina looked at her plate like she could rearrange the food into a map out. Dad coughed. The neighbor boy, now a man with a ring on, reached for the bread and missed. My mother put her hand on her chest as if the problem were an arrhythmia. We thought you were busy, she said again, softer, the way you talk a bird down from a fan blade. You always have your friend thing. Do not accuse me of abandoning the family, I said, careful, when you leave my name off the invite and then expect me to be grateful for ice. Lena, she pleaded, and for a second I saw the woman who pulled me out of a pool when I was 4 and forgot I could not swim because that's what joy does. Please don't. I'm not attacking you, I said. I'm naming something. If it makes you feel like an attack, maybe that tells us something about how we've practiced love here. Dad stood. It wasn't dramatic. He just put his napkin down with the decisive gentleness of a man who has repaired a lot of things badly and would like to try a new tool. I left her off the invite, he said, and the room went still. My mother whipped her head toward him. David, she hissed, but he kept going. You asked me to send it while you were on the phone with the caterer. You said, Lena's got her friends, right? And I should have asked. I didn't. That's on me. And when the chairs became an issue, I didn't fight you at 3:30 because I didn't want to fight on Christmas. That's on me too. He looked at me. Fathers have a way of making their daughters ate again with a glance. I'm sorry. And here's where I tell you the truth that makes us all a little more salvageable. Apologies make rooms breathe. Even if they aren't the ones you're owed most. Even if they're slanted and late. My mother's face did something I have seen exactly twice, the time I moved out and the day her own mother died. It is the look of a person who realizes there is no distance left between their choices and their reflection. She sank into her chair. She didn't cry. She smoothed the tablecloth like she could iron out the wrinkle of me. We are eating, my brother announced, like a flight attendant moving the drink cart through turbulence. And we did. Not happily. Not with the kind of laughter that makes you hope time is real. But we ate. After dinner, while the dishwasher groaned, I found Mom in her room where she keeps a little altar to things that could have gone differently. Old school photos, some church bulletin, a postcard of the ocean like a promise she never cashed. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, spine curved, hands folded like she was asking something from air. You humiliated me, she said when she heard me, and I stood very still because instinct says apologize. But the part of me that has learned to build chairs from no would said, breathe. I told the truth out loud, I said. It's not the same thing. You could have pulled me aside, she said, and I almost laughed because that is what I was doing. I tried, I said. All week. You told me to bring ice. You told me I was busy. You told me I didn't tell you what I needed. So I told you. I needed to be invited. That's not a special request. That's the bare minimum. She looked up. For the first time in a long line of conversations where she has tried to make me the source of weather, she looked up and saw the sky did not belong to her. I didn't mean, she started. I know, I said gently, because that's a kind of curse in our language. You didn't mean. But you did. That's the part we can change. There are 1,000 versions of what could have happened next. We could have yelled. We could have hugged. We could have made a plan with bullet points. We did something quieter. She reached for my hand and held it like a person learning to hold a foreign tool, without confidence but with the hope that it could fix something. Stay for coffee, she asked. I made a pot the way you like. Okay, I said, because my body needed a place to land. We sat at the kitchen counter, and drank coffee that tasted like an apology cleans itself with heat. Dad cut my cake and put a slice in front of Mom. She took a bite and winced. You used too much rosemary, she said. I laughed so loud I surprised myself. Yes, I said. I did. We played Scrabble. My brother made a word that isn't a word and we let him keep it because sometimes you love a person by allowing their delusions to win a board game. The neighbor's wife asked me about my job like she meant it, and I told her a long story about spreadsheets and teenagers and the satisfaction of writing a grant that makes someone else get paid to do something good. Sabrina leaned against me and whispered, I moved your place card, and I squeezed her arm with thanks. Here's what I did differently after that. I wrote a little script card and taped it to the inside of my phone case where my thumb can read it when my mouth wants to forget. It says, say it once. Leave if it's not heard. It saved Christmas in that I said it once. It saved me because after coffee, after cake, I left when the room started to rehearse the old lines again. Mom said, stay for presents, and I said, I need to go, and when she said, don't be like this, I replied, this is the new like this, and kissed her cheek while she frowned because growth rarely looks cute. 2 days later, she texted me at 6:07 a.m. I'm sorry, it read. I left you off because I was scared you'd come and I'd set you off. I'm learning that avoiding is not kindness. Please help me write the next one right. I stared at it until my coffee went cold. I typed and erased 6 drafts, started with thank you, settled on me too. If you came here because your name didn't appear on a list you've bled for, here's what I learned as a woman who once would have brought ice and a smile to a party she wasn't invited to. You can choose differently without turning yourself into a sermon. You can show up and take the chair. You can also leave when the chair is a trick. You can say I wasn't invited like weather, no lightning, just barometric pressure. You can make cake that is too rosemary and still be loved. You can let the apology come from a person who didn't break it and still count it as glue for a corner of the thing. You can start your own holiday and let it be holy. You can forgive without erasing your name from the guest list of your own life. The next Christmas, I was in the invite line. First name. No ice instructions. I brought potatoes because Aunt Jo said she was tired. Mom put me next to her. At some point during dinner, when the ham was doing the salty miracle thing and my brother's wife told a joke that landed, my mother stood to make a speech. She looked at me, then at the table, then at the ceiling, the only witness that never misremembers, and said, to family and to the work it takes to be one. She lifted her glass. It shook. Mine did too. And somewhere in the world there are people who think Christmas is ruined by honesty. They don't sit at my table. We're full. But if you need a chair, we'll find one. We have camping chairs in the trunk now. Just in case.